Welcome to Newsmakers. Newsmakers is a program of the Rock County Civics Academy where we bring people into the studio to talk about the news of the day, the important things that are happening in your community that you really don't have the opportunity to hear about or learn about in any other medium than this, your community access television. With me in the studio today, I'm proud to welcome Michael Cass, first term Councilor,
Correct.
Janesville City Council. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you for having me.
Great to have you with us. Tell us a little bit about yourself so the public gets to know who you are, if you would.
Yeah, born and raised here in Janesville, grew up on the south and west sides, and then as an adult just lived in different parts of the city, went to Janesville Public Schools here. Professionally, I've worked in the criminal justice system predominantly for most of my career, whether it's law enforcement, probation and parole, a re-entry program at Rock Valley, and then currently work for the Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection as a consumer protection investigator.
That last one, that's a lot of words.
Yes, it is a lot of words.
And it's interesting, but that's a whole other show in and of itself, the diverse mission of ag and consumer protection, but we'll get to that. Your first term, what were the specific steps that you took before running to help you understand the mechanics of the office of City Council and its legal and fiscal limitations? And where do you think you stand after a couple of months in office in that learning curve? Are you feeling a little more comfortable?
Yeah, feeling more comfortable. Getting started, I was on the Community Development Authority for about 4 years prior, and that is a statutory controlled, or it's a body that is required per statutes. And so I learned a lot about just kind of like procedure and how government works at almost like a legislative end or a policy end of things, and have gotten time to talk to the city council members that were on that committee with me. And then when I was deciding to run, I reached out to people I knew that had been in local government, and asked for advice, their thoughts, asked, what things should I know going into this as a council member if elected, where can I look for, resources for new council members. So I was pointed to the League of Wisconsin Municipalities and was able to read a lot of stuff on their website as it regards to policy making, budgeting, stuff like that. And then just asking for advice from those who are currently on the board, that have been on the board, and learning from them about how the process works.
Okay. Probably the toughest decision that you have to make is that decision, I'm going to run for public office. What went into that calculus in your mind you had to go through before you made that decision that said, I'm going to run to be a member of the Janesville City Council?
Yeah. One of the first things I thought about is the time commitment, and if I would have that, be able to commit the amount of time that goes into running and also being on the council with the things I was focused on, which is housing and Southside economic development. Am I a good vessel for that? Am I going to be effective in ensuring those things are done and working towards those goals of increasing housing and redeveloping the South Side? So the time commitment was the first thing, and then just that my passion for the city met my my goals. That I'm very passionate about these things and the future of Janesville, and am I going to be able to maintain that with the other factors of life going on?
Do you feel like in the short time that you've been on the council that those two goals, the two stated goals, redevelopment of the South Side and housing, have come to the table in a form that you can feel like you're doing something meaningful?
Yeah, I mean, there's always a hope for the ability to do more. And then, like most people know, the way the government works is a lot of steps. We have to wait for something, A before we get to B. And so being able to just bring that up when I can in meetings with the city manager, in discussion with my other counselors, the other council members, when we're at like a community event and I bump into someone, hey, let's have a quick chat about housing, or let's have a quick chat about what's going on with the South Side.
In those two arenas, there's a likelihood that you're going to run into policy decisions and even structural changes with how the city pursues business that may be unpopular. But at the same time, to achieve those goals, they may be necessary. How will you earn the public's trust to get out front and pursue the two priorities that you've stated?
Yeah, I think being available to have those conversations with people, responding to emails that people send about housing. Some of my friends have written in comments about proposed developments, and their comments were kind of a little bit different than my thoughts on the things. And so being able to reach out and say, hey, like I saw that you submitted this, let's have a conversation about this, let's talk about what this truly means instead of what everyone else is saying. And then also just encouraging just having those conversations at council meetings or with city administration, city staff to say, hey, like let's boast this up more, let's have these talks, let's kind of advertise what we're doing in regards to this topic and working on the messaging of that, because there's a lot that goes into it that a lot of people don't know about. And I feel like maybe if we marketed or communicated more what we're doing, the back end things, people could understand the process more. It's not, hey, we want to build a house, so we're going to build a house. There's a lot of things that happen with the federal government, state government, different tax credits and stuff like that.
Would you support forming citizen advisory boards or participatory planning committees or any other type of co-governance models that are out there to help shape the public policy related to those two important topics, Southside redevelopment and affordable housing, during your term, Michael?
Yeah, absolutely. And
what plans do you have to pursue those?
Yeah, so there's a process in forming committees, commissions and stuff like that have to go through the city council. You have to get it on the agenda, take the vote, and then work with the council president for appointments. So I've had conversations with a few council members about a couple topics, housing, and then a traffic safety commission to look at all of the recent vehicle versus pedestrian or bicyclist accidents that we've had recently, to identify how we could mitigate those risks with our road redevelopment when we're redoing roads, or other safety initiatives that we can do. And then also like a housing commission that could be like a subcommittee of the Community Development Authority that could bring people together from different aspects to speak up about, share their ideas about housing, the building process, the developmental process, stuff like that.
Inherently, when you become a member of the city council, you become part of the basic rule of four, which says in order to accomplish anything, you need to have 4 votes.
Yep.
The process of building consensus on issues among your fellow members of the council and getting to that threshold of 4 votes, has that been an eye-opening experience for you, or is it as you have expected it to be?
I think it's as expected, and also kind of unexpected, because of like quorum and rules around conversations. We never really have a firm idea of where everyone stands on something. There could be a general consensus to something, and then there could be one little caveat that someone thinks would make it better. And then so that then comes back to now we have to have that discussion if we're going to pass it or not. Generally, I think that the other members of the council, we're all pretty focused on what's best for the city, and ensuring that whatever the decision is, it's still going to be what's best for the city.
Given the limitations that you deal with on a day-by-day basis in this consensus building process, it almost presents to you that need to be provocative and find that co-sponsor and introduce those new ideas as opposed to sitting back on the sidelines and waiting for somebody else to do that. Mm-hmm. Is that anywhere in your motivation to jump forward and to take a leadership position on the 2 topics in particular that you've said were your priorities, affordable housing and Southside redevelopment?
Yeah, when it comes to that, for myself, when I present something or I'm raising a topic that I want to discuss, I want to make sure that I've researched the issue enough that I feel like I have a good understanding of it. And then I'm also looking at the implementation of it. So when we talk about adding a new committee, how is that going to look? Who's going to be appointed? How are we going to make the appointments? What other leaders at City Hall from the different divisions need to be included in that? Is this already going on with a different committee that they're already looking at this, and then getting that information and then going forward from that? I wouldn't say presenting something by myself would be something. I don't think that's like a provocative move. Just what the requirements are.
The requirements are to get something on the agenda.
Yep,
You need
Yep.
two council members, or the council president can initiate something.
Correct. Yep.
And the city manager obviously initiates things. With the rule of 4 and then the limitations that you deal with the open meetings law, it's hard to find those co-sponsors and hard to build that consensus, is it not?
It can be. I think having served on the Community Development Authority with Heather Miller and Richard Nino, that I've been able to, from that, build those relationships to reach out to them, to talk to them about things. And then with Josh Erdman being a new member to the council as well, we were able to sit down prior to being sworn in and just have conversations and share ideas of what we would like to see, and go from there. Just having those conversations, whether it's, hey, let's have a quick chat. I'm looking at proposing this. These are my ideas, and getting the feedback from them and hearing if they share those same thoughts. And that's all you need is that second person. Josh and I have proposed something to be on the agenda, and it was put on the agenda together.
Okay. Who or what has been the greatest influence over your priorities now that you're in office? And how can constituents verify that you're still working for them and not for somebody else?
Yeah, my priority is always going to be the citizens. They're the ones that are impacted by this, by our actions the most. Policy decisions have a lot more weight in our daily lives than a lot of people think about. So I'm always constantly thinking about how is this going to impact my neighbors. My neighborhood is diverse in the sense of like age ranges. We have some elderly individuals, we have some young families, and then we have people kind of in the middle, recently retired. So I think about like, is this going to negatively impact my neighbor across the street who's 87, or my neighbor next door who's 90? How is it going to impact my neighbors diagonal from us and their 2 young kids? I think about my family. My sisters are raising their families here. Is this policy decision, is this action going to negatively impact them? Hold me accountable to that as well. My number's on the website. My number is on my email's there. You can reach out. We can grab coffee. Call me out on it. That's what you should do for your elected officials is call them out when they don't do what you elected them to do.
In 30 seconds,
Yep.
Tell us, what's your advice to anybody considering the opportunity to run for office? Would you suggest it? Would you argue for it? Or is there another direction you'd suggest the aspiring young person interested in public office?
Yeah, I mean, if you're interested, do it. Talk to your friends and family, people that you look up to. Reach out to the current or former elected officials to get their advice on that process. For me, it was helpful that I knew how city government kind of worked with my experience on the CDA, the Community Development Authority, and so kind of knowing those things beforehand helped me have those conversations.
Helps you get there.
Yep.
We're out of time. Michael Cass, best of luck in your
Thank you.
term as a member of the Janesville City Council going forward. I hope those priorities get addressed and that you're the leader on those issues.
Thank you.
This is another edition of Newsmakers. We'll be back with other editions coming up where we'll introduce the other elected officials who are there representing you across our community. Have a great day.